Welcome to another edition of All Octaves with me, Val Kleinhans, where we talk with the musicians who make music and the fans who love it. Today, a few musicians on hand in ALS FONA. I am so excited to have them here. They're one of the newer bands in my local city, Rochester, Minnesota. Peter and Alex from the band are here. Thank you both for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Happy to be here.
Tell me about the beginning of the band, the name, the inception, everybody coming together. Give me the story.
So the name came from for me back when I was in college. And basically like I wanted a something that would describe like a band that basically could do whatever it wanted. So I kind of came up with an acronym, a little something for one and all. And so then that became the ALS FONA. But then later on, kind of as I was telling you earlier, I found out from a friend from South Africa that alls means everything or like all the things. And then phona in Latin means sound. So it kind of like worked out in that way also to kind of have that same meaning. So,
Okay, so that's perfect. And does
yeah,
that mean that you have a variety of sounds in what you play?
we try to, yeah, I think we're pretty well rock, and alt rock, but, there's, I guess, a little bit of nuance in, every single song. So they all kind of end up a little different.
How did you guys come together and meet and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so Alex, I met through Chris Dazelle, who couldn't be with us here today, but he's playing guitar from us, and he's the front man for Amateur in town also. And so um, basically, I started this with another Alex, Alex Higano, who's a drummer in town also, a few years back, or like 3 or 4, and just him and I were kind of playing drums or playing music together and trying to fill out the band after we got a couple songs. And then I met Chris from the songwriters group that Dan Conway runs here in town. And
Hmm.
then another guy in town, you may know, Oliver Books. Excuse
Hmm.
me. Yep. So I met both of them through that, and we were going to try to put together a tiny desk concert contest video.
Yes.
Yep. So we did that with the four of us, and then kind of were vibing while gelling as a band. So we kind of decided to play together for a little while, and then COVID hit, so
Ah,
I
yeah.
kind of put a damper on that, like it did for everybody. And then Alex moved to lacrosse for a little while. And so then needed a drummer, and Oliver stepped away from the band also, so I needed a bassist. So um, Alex Ortberg joined initially as the bassist for a little while, and then when Alex Higano moved to lacrosse, it was like, well, we need a drummer, and Alex is one of the best drummers in town, so it was like, well, I can
Duh.
do it
Yeah.
in that
That's so
role.
it did work. You switched one Alex for another
Yeah,
Alex that could
yeah,
drum.
yep, yep, yeah,
Well,
and then
Alex, I knew that about you, that you're a multi-instrumentalist. Peter, is that the case for you too?
I mean, I can sing and play guitar, so yeah,
That
Multi-instrument.
counts.
Yeah,
That counts.
that
it
counts.
counts,
It
counts,
counts.
Don't
yeah,
discredit yourself, Peter. Come on.
yeah.
What was Alex? I know I heard a little bit of your story, but you can either answer however you want. What was your initial exposure to music like? What got you interested in music in the first place?
Like, like OG, like
Yeah,
very
from the
first.
very like
We're
Tiny
talking
Alex
like,
and Tiny Peter are walking around like, oh my God, I listened
aw,
to this and this was
wouldn't
life
that be
changing.
cute?
I know.
um, I mean, I don't really remember a time where I was not interested in music. I mean, maybe obviously the first like 5 years of your life, you're different towards it.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's just been kind of there my whole life. My father's a musician. He was a professional musician on and off for his entire life, um, playing in bands and teaching me how to play and
Right.
getting me started on everything. So it was just kind of part of the family and part of my life since I can remember, which is not saying a lot because I have a terrible memory. Um, but so maybe that's why I don't remember where it started. Uh, no, I'm kidding. Yeah, it's just been kind of part of my life for as long as I can remember.
Yeah. What about you, Peter?
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I really didn't like music, probably until I was like maybe early teens. So, um,
Why were you so like
I don't
opposed to it
I
then?
don't know, maybe it's just rebellious. I just remember my dad playing music and me being like, "This is
Oh,
stupid. I'd rather go do something else," kind of. But um, yeah, I don't know. At some point, I started liking music and kind of went through like an angsty teen era and listened
as
to a
we
lot.
all do.
Yeah, as we all do, right? Incubus and whatnot. Yeah. And
Mhm.
at some
What?
point,
Incubus? No.
yeah, yeah, no
I
way.
believe it. I
I wouldn't
believe it.
believe that from what our music sounds like. But yeah, yeah, sometime like after high school, I decided I'd wanted to learn guitar, and
Mm,
so a couple classes and picked that up and like that, and then started writing some songs, um, and I was a pretty good singer too. So
yeah. Did you decide to give music a chance after you sort of fell in love with it in your teens?
yeah, I think so. It kind of so in high school, I started a band. God, I'm trying to remember the name of it. But there's just a couple of friends, and we were gonna
Mm.
be a punk band, and I didn't know how to play anything, so they just decided I need the drummer.
Doesn't
So I
matter in a
bought
punk band. Doesn't matter in
exactly.
a punk
So I
band.
bought a drum set. So I had this cheap drum set, and I could play one drum rhythm, and it worked.
That's all
So
you need. That's all you
that's all
need.
we needed.
As long as you can play it fast, it's fine.
Um, yeah, but after that, yeah, kind of the um, girls like guitar, so you want to learn that so you can
Very true.
practice.
Okay, so the girls start coming around, two and two come together, and you're like, maybe I need to do this a little
Yeah,
bit more.
yeah, yeah. Try that.
Right. Okay, got it. Got the memo, and you weren't wrong. That was correct.
Yep. Yes. Good.
Peter doesn't actually like music. He's just in it for the women.
He's
That's
just in
right.
it for the women. Aren't we all just in it for the women? I mean, honestly.
Yeah. Yep.
So, describe the sound of the band for anybody that has never heard you before.
Well, so as Alex alluded to earlier, we do have an Incubus vibe. They were my favorite band growing up. So I think I've kind of emulated that a lot
Hmm.
in some vocal nuances of my voice. Um, I've heard we've got a little bit of Chili Peppers in a couple of the songs. But like I said earlier, we kind of try to just do whatever and see what happens with the song. So people have called it like prog rocky. So some of the songs are more like that when you do like multiple time signatures. Um, I guess the one thing I do try to do with like all the music is I want it to feel like it's going somewhere. So I usually try to emphasize the dynamics and kind of the flow of the song. And I like things to get big. So
Yeah,
most really get big towards the end and
big sound. No
big
small
Big
sound.
sounds. We
sound.
need big sound. Big
I
loud.
like I
I'm
like big
shocked the
sound
drummer
too.
would say that. Yeah. I'm
Yes.
shocked that that's coming out of a drummer's mouth. Well, let's rewind a little bit to earlier this year because speaking of getting big and developing things, you started off the year with a pretty big bang by releasing two singles. I'll call them, but correct
Yeah.
me if I'm
Yep.
wrong. It
Yep.
was a
Yeah.
1-2. It was a 1-2. We had By the Way and then we had Fade Away. Talk to me about those. Talk to me about the choice to release both at once.
Yeah. So we've been kind of releasing songs individually. And that's just kind of been like I am impatient and I don't want to wait to release an entire album.
Yeah.
And then just it seems like I guess the music industry is kind of changing too, and albums aren't necessarily the way to go anymore. So just kind of decided to do it that way. And then with this single, with the I guess it's weird how they the terminology right behind the singles. Like you can do a single, but it can have two songs, right? But so
Yeah.
with the single that we released with the two songs, we just kind of had them done, and we were having a show at Thesis, so it was kind of just made sense. Like let's release these all and kind of celebrate that with that show. So
Yeah. Talk to me about those two songs. Was there a particular reason why you wanted to champion those? Did you like those the most? Did you vibe with it the most? Why those two?
well, they were done and ready.
They were
So
they
that's
were done and ready. Keep
yeah,
it
That's
simple,
literally
stupid.
that's
yeah,
kind of how we operate. It's like,
yeah,
well, this song's done, better release it.
yep. It's
But I
ready to
mean,
go.
we've been releasing singles the whole time, so it doesn't matter. We can kind of, you know,
Yep.
Yeah.
do whatever.
How are you feeling about how we're releasing music today and how fans are consuming it, just in general?
I don't know. It feels fast and it's different than it's ever been. Like I guess it used to feel like more an event, like a band would
Yeah.
with a CD, right? And you'd get home and you'd listen to it or you'd listen to it in your car. And then at least for me, like it would stay in my car like for a month, right? And I'd be
Yeah.
listening to it all the time. And now I just feel like there's so much music coming out that I'm like, okay, that song was cool. And then it's like, oh, this other song now, like let's move on and like listen to things. So I mean, good and bad with that. Like it's amazing to have so much variety and so much new stuff, but I feel like a little bit of something's lost with that when you don't get to like kind of sit in the things and absorb them as much.
Yeah. How about you, Alex? Same thoughts or different thoughts?
I mean, I agree with what Peter said. I I wish I'm very old school in terms of the way I like to consume music. I love listening to a record from top to bottom. It
Yeah.
just for some reason it just makes me happy to be able to know, like, slowly through listens and listens and listens, being able to know a record kind of inside and out, and
Hmm.
Mm.
uh, almost on a personal level, and just enjoying that journey through the record. And then once it's done, then it's like, that was like that was an event. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's really, I don't know. I love the concept of the record, but I also know that it's not completely viable. I mean, there's still a reason to release a record, um,
Absolutely.
but it's less viable than the single method.
Yeah. Now we just have instant access, which isn't a bad thing, but it's we have more ears, I think, in general on what's coming out, which is ultimately good. It's good for the bands, it's good for the fans that want to find something new. There's never been an easier time to find new music if you really truly want to. In
That's
my
true.
view, like
Yeah.
but I do miss exactly what you were talking about, Peter. I miss when it was an event. I remember like Britney's Oops, I Did It Again coming out, and it was like all me and my like sixth grade girlfriends were like, we're going to the mall Friday night. Britney's album's out. We're going to FYE. We're gonna get it, and we're getting the poster with it. And all of us had it in our walls. And like we tore open the CD case and took out the liner notes, and we're like looking at Britney's outfits in each of the just little pages in that CD
Yeah.
cover booklet thing. And I was like, oh, I do miss when it was like an event like that, because you would take it home, you would talk about your friend. That would be like the talk of the lunch table or whatever for like the
Yeah.
next
Yep.
week. It was like, oh my God, this is what we're into now. So I do miss that, but it is kind of cool for, I would guess, especially newer bands that are growing. Now it might be even easier to get your stuff out there. Would you agree with that or disagree with that?
I think it's easier to make it accessible,
Mm.
but it's harder to get people to listen to it, I think.
Break through the
Oh,
I mean,
noise.
I
why?
guess, yeah, I guess I don't know. I never released music before, so I don't really have a comparison to like, hey, I released music there and it was so popular, and now it's not. I don't know. I just like I don't feel like maybe it's my popularity and I'm just not popular enough to have a lot of people like, spreading the word. But yeah, and probably just need to be better with social media. But it just seems like you release something and I think like our most popular song has like about 500 views, which is great. That's awesome. But I know it's like I've got maybe 200 of those like listens just myself. So having more ears on the music would be awesome. And I don't know how, and I haven't I guess probably put the effort in to promoting it as maybe as well as I could.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's something that, um, as a record producer myself, bands don't think about that. Um,
Mm.
like they come into my studio wanting a record or an EP or whatever, and the record's done, and I hand them the EP, and then all they do is release it, maybe have an EP release show or something, and then that's it. And then
Oh.
like nothing else happens. Not because they don't want it to or they're not trying, they just don't know how to. Like releasing music nowadays is so difficult, not in the fact that like of the physical act of releasing it, that's super
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah.
But releasing it in a way where the most people possible get to consume it, because if you just put it out there, nobody's going to listen to it. I mean,
Right.
that sounds really mean, but it's the reality. Like your friends and family and some close super fans will listen to it, and then that's it. It's not going to go anywhere else. So there's after I give you the masters, that's when the work starts, right?
Mm,
And
got it.
that's actually where the money starts too.
Yeah.
Because you can pour a lot of money into trying to get a song or an EP or an album to more ears than just your close friends. So
Yeah. It sounds like you're referring more so to the process of promoting it, to
yeah,
getting like I don't know, maybe we have to start thinking about now. It's more crucial than ever to think about doing the digital version of that big event that we were talking about. Making a release that big event, like whether that's turning to social media, whether that's YouTube clips or whatever, or little TikTok snippets of this is coming out and here's a countdown or whatever.
yeah,
Thinking of creative ways to sort of turn this into a big event, but do it in a digital way. If I
Right.
if I were in a band right now, that's what I would be doing. But that's just because I'm a social media nerd and I like to mess with it and experiment with it. But not everybody does. But it's so
yeah.
important now.
And
Yeah.
it's not even social media. It's press releases, get interviews, get
Yeah.
reviews of your stuff before it comes out, and then Spotify playlisting. Submit it to Spotify playlists as soon as it comes out to get it on playlists. That's how you get listens. Now, listens aren't going to turn into anything money wise, but they'll turn into essentially like uh, 5-star review, right?
Thanks.
If your
Makes me
song,
feel good when I see a lot of listens, right? Yeah.
but
Yeah.
also like if your song has 20,000 plus listens, and some band is looking for an opening act in your town, and they look you up on Spotify, oh, that song has 20,000 listens, people must like them, let's call them, right?
Yeah.
Oh, got
Whereas if
it.
all your songs have that little sign and then 1,000 next to it, they're like, yeah, no, we're not going to have them open for us because they're not going to draw anybody.
Okay, got it. Walk me through that process as a musician. What is it like? I mean, you mentioned submitting your work to certain places or trying to get it on certain playlists. How do you do that? I'm not a musician. I have no clue. Like, how do you just submit something to Spotify and then say, we would like to be on this playlist? Or how do we do that?
Oh
So
God, if it were
the,
that easy.
the
Okay.
platforms are easy. So there's
Platform.
like digital distributors. I go through DistroKid, and basically you make an account on there, and then when the music's ready, you upload it. You upload some art that you want to put with it, and then you just tell it which platforms you want it on, and then
Mm,
hit go, and it puts it out there. So that part's like really easy. But the getting on playlists is difficult. I guess so. You got to be what somebody wants, and they've got to hear you. And it's kind of the chicken or the egg thing, right? Like what comes first?
oh,
Do you get heard, and then you get on the playlist, but you can't get heard until you're on the playlist. So like
okay. Well, it's also a little bit like I choose you, Pikachu, it sounds like.
yeah,
They have to choose you and
yeah.
then
So
Well,
okay.
no, you have to submit to them first, and then they
yeah.
have to
Oh,
choose you,
okay.
which
I mean,
costs money.
I'm guessing people could find you like randomly and be like, "Oh, that's cool," and do that. But there's a bunch of sites where you can submit to playlists, and so then you'll get consideration. Um,
Okay.
but those actually you pay to do that. So like the whoever's curating that playlist, you'll give them like $2, and then they basically agree to listen to the song and give you some critique and give it consideration to be added to their playlist. So.
Okay.
uh,
That's
And
so interesting.
the acceptance rate is normally 15% or lower. So out of all the songs that they listen to, they're going to take 15% of them, and that's like a good acceptance rate. So like
Mm,
most people are below 10%. So most likely they're not going to accept your song, but on the off chance that they do, they'll put it on their playlist for a specific amount of time.
God, they even found a way to digitalize rejection in the music industry. They found it there. Instead of they used to do it to your face, now they do it.
Yeah.
Man, that's going to be tough. Like you put all this work into something, you submit it to something, and it's like, please, 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 please. And then, like,
Yeah.
so what keeps you going? What keeps you trying and putting stuff out there?
It's fun. It's not, I mean, it'd be cool if it was like a song got big, but I guess for me, I'm kind of doing this as a hobby. So it's just something that I love
Yeah.
and enjoy. So, I just try to remember that, like anytime I start to have too high of expectations for this, it's like, well, no, I had a lot of fun making this and I really like the song. So like, you know, that's enough for me.
Yeah, that's all you need. My
Yeah.
awareness of the band came with Big Turn, the Big Turn lineup
Oh
announcement.
yeah.
I saw that all over social media and I was like,
Oh, sweet.
"Oh, okay, cool." So, how was that show for you? Because that's a big one for the Midwest for anybody that
Yeah,
does.
yeah, that was really cool. We got to play at the St. Lutheran or St. Paul's Lutheran Church there. So it was like, I, I, I mean, that I think this is pretty much the first time I've been to Red Wing, but they have like a bunch of churches downtown, and they're all really beautiful, and
Yeah,
just very, very open. So there's a lot of good reverb. So yeah, we got to play there. The sound in that place I thought was really good. Um, Played right before Loudmouth, so that made it convenient for Alex.
nice. Good crowd with that one. I like it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
What do you hope that the listeners get out of listening to your music? How do you hope that they experience it?
I guess I just hope that they like one of the songs and, get some enjoyment or get some connection
Yeah,
from it. Yeah.
cool.
Kind of
And
one of my favorite feedback is I usually get from different people, different songs that are their favorites.
mhm.
Um, Kind of going back to the trying to write diverse music that's appealing to different people for different reasons and different ways, right? And then I feel like that's we're achieving that with the feedback we're getting. So.
Got it. And what is next for you? What are you looking forward to? What should we be getting excited about?
Yeah, so we're working on a few more songs here. We're working. Drew McGean joined our band last year, and he's an amazing musician. I think you had him on earlier this year, right?
Great guy.
Or last year. Yeah, he's great. So he's been playing with us, and so we've been writing some music together, the four of us, and really excited about some of the stuff we were coming up with right now. I think it's some of our best work yet. So we're going to be wrapping that up and releasing that later this year. And then just trying to get some shows lined up right now. So we're playing at the Porch Fest in Minneapolis in June. That's June 15th. My dates right here. And
Something in
then
June.
yeah, somewhere in June. You can find that on the social media. We'll post that when we get a little closer. And then July we just got into there's a art fest in St. Peter, Minnesota that we're going to be playing at. Um, so and hopefully more to come as we get going.
Yeah, I've got a feeling there's more to come. I want to thank both of you for hanging out with me today. Thank you for giving us the goods and sharing some things we can get excited about. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of
Thanks for
course.
having
Thanks
us
for
on.
having us.